I think the danger to the Bitcoin community, and this will probably happen sooner rather than later, is that you'll get clamped down on hard. And that strikes me as highly probable. I think the way that's likely to happen is that the governments will try to implement their own digital currencies and then do everything they can to squash out competitors. And you think fiat currency is bad, you wait till it's fiat currency with a digital spin, and wait until people can track all of your purchases and decide using some scheme of fiat when you're acting unethically with regards to your choice of, let's say, consumer item.
Right.
Do you really need that automobile? That'll be the next question, coming out down the pipes in the next 10 years. What makes you think you should have an automobile when the whole planet is at stake?
Right.
It's like, yeah, well, who made you final arbiter of value?
Right.
Yeah.
And to fight that tyranny, we need faith in an ideal. And I guess that's what Bitcoin represents to us.
Yeah, well, hopefully that's the other thing that's kind of admirable about the Bitcoin community. Delusional though it may be, let's say, at least you're bloody well put your money where your mouth is. Well, that's something, isn't it? It's not just as you said, it's not just cheap talk.
Right.
You're willing to stake your future and maybe the future of your family on this, and so, it looks like you're really in the game, and if you're really in the game, well, then maybe that does facilitate a certain kind of ethical transformations. Highly probable, just to start to think in that long-term way and to start to think about questions of ultimate value. It's like, how could that not have a transformative effect? It certainly does on people, and so wouldn't it be lovely if this all worked out? What does it say on the dollar bill? Isn't it in God we trust?
Yeah, but the actuality is in Fed we trust.
Yeah, well, so it's corrupted, and any obvious manner in which the presuppositions of the Bitcoin community violate fundamental psychological principles. Quite the contrary. But, like I said, I'm not an economist, that's for sure, and there's lots of things I don't know, so I'd hesitate to give it my unwarranted stamp of approval, for whatever that's worth, and very little. But it's an extremely interesting experiment, and I find it quite compelling, the idea of a incorruptible storehouse of value. You store value in your reputation, and that means you store value in the ethics of your behavior. The Bitcoin notion, I suppose, in some sense, is you have an unerring marker for that now.
Right.
So, well,
I would.
Hey, that'd be something.
If I could add here, perhaps too, that we would also seek to store our economic value in the money with the best reputation. Right. That's what the U.S. dollar is currently. What gold is historically.
Yeah, and those are promises.
Yes.
Like fundamentally, you could ask, well, what is money? Money is a promise.
Yes, right.
So it's based on trust.
Contract with the future.
Absolutely. Yeah, and with strangers, right? With people you don't know, which is really quite remarkable. Right. And so it's all dependent on interpersonal trust, and well, that's dependent on all sorts of fundamental things.
Right.
But because it's dependent on trust, you would think the most trustworthy currency, well, hopefully that would be the one that rises to the top.
Yeah, there's a work by a great thinker in the space named Nick Szabo, and he actually describes money as the trust minimized asset. And what he means by that is that wherever you can store your economic value that's maximally insulated from the opinions and actions of others, you don't need to trust others, right? We don't need to trust that you trust gold. Gold just has a market cap by the free market.
We can trust by assumption.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, and that actually constitutes wealth.
Minimizing interpersonal trust to maximize.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, maybe we'll get lucky, and what'll happen is that Bitcoin will roll itself out incrementally, within the confines of the free market system as it currently exists, and we'll be able to test these prognostications.
Yep.
One by one, without any revolutionary catastrophes, and we'll be able to find out. I don't know, for example, have you been keeping an eye on what's happening in El Salvador? How's that experiment working? Because I don't know. So what's happening in El Salvador?
I can't attest to great knowledge there, but I do plan on visiting this year. I hear good things, is all I can say so far, but agreed, experimentation will tell us if it's working or not, right? Were the libertarians right or not? I guess we'll see. We don't really know if it will work. We have this long literature of Austrian economics and libertarianism saying that we needed the sly roundabout way to take money out of the hands of government to build a sustainable civilization, but we don't actually know because we've never seen it. We've been looking for the most certain asset to store economic value in. That's effectively what gold was. It had the most predictable supply across time, couldn't be destroyed very easily, so it was fairly indestructible, et cetera, et cetera. And I think as Bitcoiners, that's what we think Bitcoin has perfected. We've created a money that's composed of perfect information. All right, we know it has 21 million, we know exactly what its issuance is. There's nothing hidden in Bitcoin, and that is its value. It's just absolute transparency with no deception, no falsehood.
Well, we've certainly been searching forever for an incorruptible storehouse of value.
Yes.
That's definitely the case. And that is associated, at least in part, with our realization for the necessity of work, because work doesn't work without a storehouse of value.
Right.
And you know, interestingly enough, a lot of where you store value is in your reputation.